My grandma is one of my biggest inspirations. She makes a huge effort to be there for me whenever I need her. Grandparents should be one of the most important parts of everybody's life. A study from the Boston Globe shows that the grandparents that are closer with their grandchildren during the ages of 11 to 16 are found to have less behavioral issues, emotional problems, and fewer difficulties with peers. My grandma was born August 21st, 1931 in Amboy, a small town in Illinois. Since her town was so small, everybody knew everybody. She went to St. Anne's grade school and participated in Girl Scouts. She says she remembers her and her friends spending all of their time playing outside all day. Her mother was her biggest inspiration and influence. She always knew that she wanted to be married, just like her mother. In 1945, she began high school at Amboy Township High, where she was a cheerleader. She loved getting out in front of everyone and entertaining her small town. And she even does all of her cheers for my sister and I today. She was involved in the GAA, Girls Athletic Association, and the theater program and music program in her school. My grandma remembers her and her friends going to high school athletic games together and school dances. They went to the movies and hung around outside together. She enjoyed taking typewriting and shorthand classes and always knew that she wanted to work in an office. It wasn't typical for people to go to college then, so the nearby movie theater owner asked her to work in the office, and she did for 3 years after graduation. She began dating my grandpa when she was just a junior in high school and he had just graduated. She spent as much time with him after high school as she could before he went off to the military in 1950. While he was gone, she spent time with other women whose men had also gone off to the military. He came home for about 2 to 3 weeks in 1951 for their wedding, and they went to Ohio for their honeymoon and visited my grandpa's brother who was in the seminary. He went back to the service until 1953, and when he came home, they moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where he attended Marquette University. They both found jobs. My grandma was a secretary at Macy's. She became pregnant with her first daughter, and then she quit her job. When my aunt and their firstborn son, they moved to Bloomington, Illinois. They stayed in Bloomington for a couple years and then moved to Normal, Illinois, where they had another daughter. They lived there for about a year, and my grandma got a job in Lincoln, Nebraska, and they lived there for another year. Then they moved about 8 more times in the Midwest and then landed in Topeka, Kansas, where my mom was born. 10 years after my mom was born, my grandpa was hired as a secretary at Educational Reading Services and then worked as a secretary at Minigers for 12 years. She says the second they brought in computers, she retired because she said that they were too complicated. My grandpa and grandma spent years traveling and volunteering together at the library and at the hospital. In 2004, my grandpa passed from COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. My grandma's love for God is inspiring and makes everyone want to have the same relationship with him as she did. She is the reason for my relationship with God, and there's no one who loves God more than she does. And my grandma is the best.